it's written down, wonderful. So the main focus on affordability, I mean, housing is an incredible issue, and I believe that fundamentally the federal government has gone the absolute wrong route on how to address it. Well, I would say the biggest issue that we need to address is tax policy. Amir is very good at this, but regarding tax policy, the Trudeau government in the last budget and their reforms have made it that much harder for our small businesses, the very core of our community, to thrive. They made it harder for entrepreneurs, they made it harder for small businesses. That's just unacceptable. We need to reduce the tax burden that's on them so that they can be an increased driver within our economy. Small businesses make a majority of our economy, and also for young people like myself. A lot of the time when you're going through university, when you're going through a various amount of places in your life, you need work, regardless. I mean, there's three things that you have to do in order to get out of poverty in North America. Number one of those is just have a stable job, regardless. And in order to hold down that job, work it, that will get you through. And so, we're a party that's about personal responsibility. And so we need to pick ourselves up and to apply ourselves to work hard. That's the basis of it. But the federal government should not be getting in the way to make that harder for us. So reducing policy, reducing the tax burden that's on us, that will make our small businesses thrive, that will make our businesses thrive in general, and that will allow us to move away from poverty, will allow us to move to thrive. Thank you.
Okay, Amir has 1 minute.
The issue of affordability, as Benjamin said, goes around on the issue of taxation first and foremost. The taxes in Canada are ridiculously high. The maximum bracket for individual income tax kicks in at a much lower amount than it does in the United States. The United States, for example, just lowered its taxes, especially the corporate tax, as of the end of 2017. So we have an extremely difficult time being able to compete with the United States. Right now, if you start a business in Blaine, Washington, and operate it in Canada, you'll be getting a whole bunch of, you don't have to basically pay a whole lot of taxes. The Trudeau government in the last 2 years has done nothing in response to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of Donald Trump. Instead, they're proposing new taxes. So, for example, they're issuing, Mr. Trudeau is now proposing to give a new plastic tax. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. Amir, don't go very far. Here is your question, okay? So this is your 2-minute question. Okay. As Canada continues to grow at a rapid rate, how will you as MP address our biggest infrastructure issues?
Well, that's an excellent question. Basically, tax policy, my bread and butter, I guess. Right now, the federal government of Canada is not doing the proper infrastructure expenditure that it must do. The issue is, let me give you one example, the oil pipelines from Alberta to British Columbia. It's a matter of extreme national importance for us to be building oil pipelines to be able to transport every single drop of the oil that we've been produced in Alberta to the coast of British Columbia. The Prime Minister of Canada had to negotiate the trade deal with the United States, with the current President of the United States. And he basically had no option to be able to walk away from the table and say that this trade deal is bad for Canada. He couldn't do that because 70% of our exports go through the United States. We basically are dependent on everything through our exports in the United States. We are selling oil at a fraction of the price through the oil pipelines and through the Port of Houston. If we are able to transport oil through British Columbia, through the ports of Vancouver or Prince Rupert, then we have the entire markets around the Pacific Ocean. Think of China, Japan, South Korea. They all have to import their oils from Middle East. Instead, they're going to have a much shorter oil supply here in British Columbia. This will create an incredible amount of jobs. This will this will basically make our economy much better. It will reduce our dependence on the United States for our trades and for our export. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to the next one. No one's got their hand up. Let me just check what time it is here. Oh, okay. So Phyllis Hefner, you have 1 minute.
I'm going to take a little bit different track on that. I want to talk about building infrastructure. Infrastructure requires the trades. And I think we have not emphasized trades. We've emphasized the university education in subjects that don't allow men and women to go into the trades. And I think we need to really change that and support the trades in a huge way. I was listening to the radio and there was Institute of Technology person on saying how they're just dying for people to come into the trades. So how can we build infrastructure without that part of our segment of our opportunity getting in there? So I think we need to support trades and right from our federal government down and really balance what we have in the academic world with the trade world. That's what I say.
Drink break. Okay, next question. Well, this is weird. Phyllis. The question is, as our MP, how would you propose to get our vast oil reserves out to tidewater in the current political environment?
Trudeau, just do it! My goodness, it's ready to go. Now we own the pipeline. How ridiculous is that? That we're not letting private enterprise build our pipeline. I can't believe it. The fall of Venezuela was partly because the government took over these things. And so we need to let private enterprise work. But we can also send oil to the east. There's got to be a way. Why are we importing oil from Syria? And those tankers are coming into our harbors. On the East Coast, why not put a pipeline? The pipeline is the safest way to move the oil. It doesn't tip over, it doesn't have a train crash, right? Does that make sense? So we need to get the oil to the east, we need to get the oil to Vancouver, and also up to Kitimat. And you know, the Indigenous people, some say no, and some say yes. But we're only listening to those who are saying no, and that's not right. There are many nations, let's use that word, and especially in northern Alberta and BC that want to capitalize on this and bring wealth to their people. And so we're letting the ones that squeak the loudest and squawk the loudest, that say no to these things, get their way. But those who have a real serious way to make money for their people and have wealth go to the Aboriginal people are being shut out of that process because it's not seen as politically correct. So we can just do it. It's not that hard. We just need someone in there like Scheer that has a will to do the work and get these pipelines built and get our oil to market.
Thank you. Steve, you want to respond to this? 1 minute on this one? What?
Just wanted to make sure I had the right question. It was how we were going to get our vast oil reserves out to tidewater. And the answer would be working hand in hand with our new premier next door, Jason Kenney. The Bill 69, C-69, the so-called No More Pipelines bill, essentially, has to be done away with, and it should be able to be done away with fairly simply, because provincial constitutional authority for provinces to control their own national resources was settled in 1982 under then Premier Lougheed. Under Section 92A of the Constitution Act, exclusive jurisdiction was given to provinces to regulate their own natural resources, up until we figure out a way to have fairy dust-powered, unicorn-driven tractor trailers. Everything runs on diesel. Getting things out to your stores, that's still diesel. We need to not have carbon taxes. We need to not have ridiculous regulations and shifting goalposts so we can get our oil to Tidewater.
Okay, this question is for Kim Hooland. Should you be elected MP, how will you foster job growth in the area and attract new business?
Well, if we want to attract new business, we got to make Canada a lot better place to do business. It's a little bit hard to mentor people into that when we are taxed very heavily as business people. We have a heck of a lot of red tape, and when labor is incredibly hard to find. So we've got to fix that as a federal government and make it a lot easier for that to happen. How do we foster job growth in the area? So I'm going to assume you're talking about our area, Langley-Aldergrove. Well, I mean, look at us. We're a fast-growing community that has a lot of infrastructure needs. So, you know, Harper had a really robust infrastructure program during his years that included road building, bridge building, sewers, water. We need to improve access to transit. When I was speaking with the mayor, that was one of the things he indicated they needed help with. So we could certainly do a lot of work in bringing jobs here through infrastructure. How else can we foster job growth in the area? What about helping our farmers? We're a highly agricultural constituency. You know, what if we're providing incentives to them to hire people? They need people. What other kind of incentives are we providing to employers to hire people? We can do that as a federal government. We can offer money for better training so they can improve their skills. You know, those are some things that we can do to improve job growth and attract new business. Thank you.
Take over on top to 1 minute.
Good, thank you. If you want to attract jobs, you have to attract workers, obviously, and if you want to attract workers, employees, you have to have places for them to live. We have a housing affordability crisis here in the Lower Mainland, and I think that will need to be addressed. Not in the way the current Liberal government has done that, by making it even more difficult for first-time buyers to get into the market through the stress test, but we're conservatives. I would say that we have to look for market-driven solutions. We have a supply problem. More housing. The federal government should encourage cities and municipalities to build more houses through partnerships, through transit funding.
Thanks, Jacob. Now, just a heads up, in the interest of time, we're not going to do our second cycle of questions. So there's two 2-minute questions left, and there's 2 people that have not had a chance to rebut, and who are they, Joel? Benjamin and Kim. Okay, so there's 2 left. So between the 2 there, you guys can fight over whichever one you want, but we're not going to go with second round of the cycle because we're behind. So there will be a second group of questions. So there's 2 more people that have a 2-minute, and there's 2 more rebuts, 1 minute. So between the 2 of you, okay. Steve Schafer. What is your plan to help keep the now legal marijuana out of our children's hands?
Good one. Good one.
Wow. My understanding is that this was more of a provincial regulation. It's a federal government decision, but was going to be regulated provincially. So it would be working hand in hand with the province, obviously. I'm not actually positive exactly what the rules are governing marijuana right now. What I do know is that I've seen the effects that it has on children. I've seen it, teens. I had friends that used it when we were younger. So the idea, I suppose, would just be to ensure that people are penalized when they're breaking the law. We already had laws on the books governing trafficking of marijuana back when it was illegal. It's still, illegal if you're not a licensed grower. And as we've seen, I think it was, the price has actually gone up at least 17% since the government made it legal. I don't know what that does to the black market rates and what might end up happening, but unfortunately I think that means there's going to be a need for increased police enforcement of the laws that we have on the books. If they aren't stringent enough, we'll of course tighten them up as much as we can. I don't think there's going to be anyone who's going to be able to do away with marijuana laws, but I think they can be more tightly controlled. One of the things that's always surprised me as a kid who grew up working at Metis Health and Pharmaceuticals is that we usually distill the active element out of any drug that we prescribe to people. And I have no idea for the life of me why the government of Canada decided that they would allow people to legally smoke a drug, something that, tobacco companies in the States have already been sued for hundreds of billions for smoke inhalation. We know it's inherently dangerous. I would push for the THC active component to be put into a pill form to avoid the situation.
Benjamin, 1 minute.
So as Steve said, most of the regulation is now in the hands of the province, but actually the individuals that set the regulations themselves are the municipalities. And so for any MP, they need to foster those relationships with the municipalities in order to encourage best behavior and encourage that the residents are getting the policies that they want. So I have heard overwhelmingly and seen on the town council, at least for the township, that marijuana use is highly regulated considering its legality in the municipality. That's because we don't want it here. And so that's really good. But where it comes down to is what we can do is increase policing, police enforcement, like what Steve said. But the other side of it is asking, why are these children going to this? Why are they seeing that they need to move towards marijuana? One of the things we can do is encourage families, bolster our family relations and families' ties so that they are not looking for unification through their friendships, through these other avenues that are leading them to illegal acts. So if we get our families right, that solves a lot of issues with our society.
Okay, Takeo. How do you propose Canada addresses the cost of climate change, which is consistently passed down onto local residents and taxpayers?
environment. I believe that the federal government needs to take a leading role in addressing climate change, but I believe that the carbon tax that they have proposed, or that is now in effect, is not effective. I don't think it's going to change people's habits, driving habits. This is a northern country. It's a big country. We are going to consume energy. I believe that there are other ways to do it. We are a country rich in natural resources, and we need to develop those. We can develop them in an environmentally friendly and responsible way. The federal government has failed in showing leadership on that. I believe that the cost of pollution does have to be picked up by the consumer. I'm okay with higher gas prices, to be honest, because I believe that we should be incentivized to use less, consume less, drive smaller cars, perhaps live in smaller houses, live closer together in more densely populated cities. I think that that is the long-term solution to climate change, not a 4.5-cent tax per liter on gasoline.
Kim.
All right, well, we need to, make the big polluters pay more, not us. And those would be the bigger industries. Get rid of carbon tax, man. Like, that is, it's not fair. And I know in BC it's a little bit hard because it was the provincial government that brought it in, but, we gotta fix that. Some other things we could do is incentivize the good behavior. I disagree about the higher gas taxes right now. We're not ready for that because we can't afford to, we don't have proper transit and whatnot available to us yet. So we need to incentivize transit use. We need to incentivize people to build more energy efficient homes so that we're not using as much energy. And eventually, when you're going to transition to a new vehicle, get the one that is electric or less fuel. But in the meantime, we can't punish Canadians. We're very rural still. We're very cold in a lot of our country, and we can't be taking transit all the time. So we've got some work to do for sure.
Thanks, Kim. Okay.